Is everyone ready to go? Are we sure?
Okay.
Stand by, please. Going live in three, two, one.
Start the clock.
Q and L.
Live from the Health Sciences District, we welcome you to our studios at University Health, Kansas City's Essential Hospital. Now here's Keith King.
Are you feeling a little groggy this morning? Who can blame you after coming off a holiday weekend filled with World Cup soccer and July 4th celebrations? Good morning, everyone. I'm Keith King with University Health, and welcome to Healthy Goals, our live YouTube show where we talk about World Cup soccer, the wins, the losses, the bumps, and the bruises after each matchup. Joining me this morning live in our studio, not one, but two team doctors with Sporting KC. They know soccer. Dr. Scott Llewellyn, University Health orthopedic surgeon who specializes in sports medicine. And Dr. Meg Gibson is also a sports medicine specialist. And in addition to Sporting KC Soccer, Dr. Gibson is team doctor with Kansas City Athletics at UMKC. Coming up, we will break down this weekend's latest match here in Kansas City, Colombia versus Ghana. I want to ask our experts to weigh in. Also, we start a new week following a huge weekend of celebrations. Hopefully, everyone celebrated safely. We will take you inside our emergency department to find out more about the types of injuries that were treated over the weekend. Also, staying active can become harder as we age. Coming up, ways to keep moving as the clock keeps ticking. Soccer is a rough and tumble sport that can lead to concussions, and that can be stressful for parents with little soccer players. Coming up, we will focus on the symptoms parents should be on the lookout for when it comes to protecting their children. And if you're a member of the media, we want to hear from you this morning. Email us your questions at publicrelations@uhkc.org. Again, publicrelations@uhkc.org. Okay, let's bring in our doctors. Dr. Llewellyn, Dr. Gibson, good morning. Thank you both for starting off your week and your morning here with us here at Healthy Goals. Let's look to tonight. First of all, USA versus Belgium. They play tonight. Very exciting. Your thoughts, Dr. Gibson, we'll start with you. Your thoughts on this match.
So I would say everyone in Kansas City is excited about the game tonight. I think that the US really showed that even playing a man down in their last game, that they were able to come together as a team. And, I think that that's going to be important leading them forward. There's been a lot of uncertainty over the weekend on whether Balogun's playing, whether he's not playing. And I think that the team really has seemed to have a unified front and said that no matter what happens, we're going to play our best and play hard. And they did that and they won last week. So looking forward to this weekend for
Looking
sure.
forward, definitely, definitely. Dr. Llewellyn, your thoughts?
Well, it seems that history would sort of tilt towards Belgium. I guess in our previous matches with them, they've historically had the upper hand. But I think this is a different story. We're playing on home turf, and we've got a lot of firepower with the team we have right now, and really played well leading up to this.
Right. So my understanding is that the U.S. hasn't reached a World Cup quarterfinal since 2002. Belgium is one of the older teams remaining. Talk to me a little bit about experience versus youth. Does experience have more of an advantage here, do you feel?
I think it certainly does give them some advantages to having had the experience playing under pressure. There's no question that helps you in these pressure cooker situations. But on the flip side, youth is the energy and ability to recover when you're younger is going to also be helpful. So we have that, I think, advantage.
Great, great. Dr. Gibson, talk to me a little bit about the recovery time between these matches. Not a lot of time. U.S. played, I believe it was Wednesday night, so coming off just a few days. What is that like when we have such a short recovery period for these players?
So the recovery time can be challenging. Another thing to take into consideration is if there's a lot of travel in addition to the recovery. So there's definitely advantages by being in a country that you're familiar with and, having a lot of kind of that home feeling probably around you that can mentally help people recover better. The nice thing about these teams is they have lots of individuals working with them, supporting with them, making sure they're getting the nutrition they need, making sure they're getting, the physical therapy, the rehab that they need. They have strength and conditioning coaches helping them to, really maximize their performance on game days. And all of those things really come together and help support all of these athletes.
So we have an extra day of Fan Fest here in Kansas City because of this match, which is very exciting. Let's talk a little bit more about Kansas City and what happened here Friday night. Colombia versus Ghana. Colombia ended up winning. I know you have some thoughts about this match, Dr. Gibson. You want to give me kind of a summary?
From a soccer perspective, it was not the most exciting game, especially coming off of the Argentino-Cabo Verde game, which was, very thrilling. But from an injury perspective, it was a very interesting game. And one of the things that was interesting about this game is there were actually two players, one from each team, that were subbed off within the first 15 minutes due to injury. And usually it's not until the second half that we really start to see players being subbed off of soccer teams.
Mhm. And one of those injuries was a Columbia player, a groin muscle or an adductor tear. Talk to me a little bit about that.
So the adductor is one of the muscles in the upper leg, and we tend to see muscle injuries when we see athletes who are sprinting or changing direction very quickly. Usually, we'll see those more often in players as they maybe fatigue a bit. So it was a little, again, unusual that this muscle injury occurred so early into the game in this individual player.
Talk to me, Dr. Llewellyn, about how common groin injuries are in soccer overall. They're fairly common from what I understand, right?
They are very common. It's a muscle that sees a great deal of force, as Dr. Gibson mentioned, with change of direction. Hamstring is the leading contender as far as muscles that are injured, but adductors is a highly is injured very frequently as well.
Talk to me a little bit about the movements that can put stress on this area and on this muscle.
So this muscle, it's an adductor, so basically, if your leg is out to the side and you're pulling your leg inwards, that's the muscle that's doing that activity, and so that's why when you're changing direction, it's an important muscle for that movement.
Okay. So, Dr. Gibson, as a team doctor, talk to me a little bit about the difference between a minor groin strain and then a tear that could end up knocking a player out for the rest of the tournament.
In general, with muscle injuries, there's three grades that we look at: grade one, two, three. And if you have a lower grade injury, a grade one injury, that might be, a few weeks recovery. Probably around four is safe to say. When you see two and three, those usually take about 4 weeks, sometimes even a little bit longer, depending on how severe the muscle injury is. So, unfortunately, for a player who's playing at this level in the World Cup, the chances of them returning to a game the next week are going to be very unlikely.
Okay. All right. And Dr. Llewellyn, myth or fact, if a player walks off the field after a groin injury, it's probably not that serious.
Uh, that would be a myth. I think if they're leaving the field, especially these days, they require you to wait a certain amount of time before you can get back on, and so you're playing a man down while they're off the field. So they don't usually leave the field unless it's a more serious injury, and so that usually indicates that it's more serious.
Okay. All right. Well, I have more questions for you both later in our show. So stay put if you wouldn't mind for a few more minutes. But first, we want to talk about aging and staying active. It's very important. So, what is the secret to staying fit? Well, one answer: doing something that you love. This morning,
Imagine if doing what you loved could help you live longer.
The best way to keep yourself active is finding something that you like and you enjoy.
This is the fancy footwork of Dr. Patricio Marcos, internal medicine physician, assistant professor of medicine, and a soccer midfielder.
Playing soccer and my way of doing exercise and having fun, and I enjoy it so much that if 3 days go by that I haven't played, I start feeling that my body wants to do exercise.
Dr. Marcos is passionate about soccer, or football as he called it growing up in Mexico. Today, his passion includes keeping his patients well.
The whole idea of primary care is having these patients in the clinic that maybe they don't have any kind of problem, but we make sure that they continue like such for a long time.
If you feel like you're slowing down as you age, Dr. Marcos provides his patients with these tips: yearly checkups, regular screenings, eating well, and you guessed it, heart-pumping movement.
It's been proven that doing cardio is a good thing for lungs and heart health.
But it's not the only benefit of breaking a sweat.
The another thing is that sports connect you to people. One of the best friends I have in my life came from having a soccer team with them. Social interactions actually help us grow older, better.
Winning while playing your favorite sport is exhilarating. In medicine, the win comes when patients keep doing the things they love.
And Leslie is with Dr. Marcos this morning in our ED. Leslie, as you mentioned in your report, not only is Dr. Marcos an internal medicine specialist, but he's also a soccer superfan.
Keith, that might be a sore subject this morning, but we are going to talk to Dr. Marcos about the game, and we're going to talk about the number of traumatic injuries that happened over the 4th of July weekend and were treated here at University Health. We'll be back in a minute.
For early appointments and late night care, for the moment you find out it's a girl to the first time you hold her hand. With advanced maternity care, on-site level 3 NICU, and access to level 4 NICU, University Health is the one for you. At University Health, we're teaching Kansas City what it means to care. Through the power of academic medicine, teaching can bring more minds to our patients. It solves some of the most complex medical cases in the city. And it provides hope to those who need it most. How can we care for all of Kansas City? Teaching can. University Health.
Well, it certainly was a busy weekend in Kansas City with multiple days of Fan Fest along with July 4th celebrations. Leslie Cardo joins us live this morning with more on that. Good morning, Leslie.
Good morning, Keith. Joining us now, Dr. Patricio Marcos, internal medicine specialist, but he's joining us in the ER this morning. Dr. Marcos, we had injuries this weekend from fireworks and then from just heat and falls at FanFest. Do you have the total on the number of firework injuries we had?
Yeah, from what I heard, there were around 4 firework accidents that came here to the ER. And then in the Fan Fest, there were around 12 problems, either related to the heat or related to own like medical emergencies from the patients.
Excellent. And we said one of those firework injuries was life-threatening.
Yes, that's correct. So there was one that was life-threatening, and the other injuries were more related to maybe a limb injury or something dangerous for their limbs. So it was pretty bad.
Okay, excellent. So Dr. Marcos, I'm going to just be real brief about it. The Mexico game last night, you are a diehard fan. Dr. Marcos is from Mexico. Just quick thoughts on how well they played. Let's do that first.
Yeah. So honestly, it's heartbreaking. Mexico was very, very strong. They played amazingly well. It was one of those tournaments in which Mexico consistently played well. Sadly, it was not enough. You make a couple mistakes, and that's enough for a strong team to beat you. But it is what it is. We have to raise our head, and we'll have to wait for the next World Cup. But I think we did amazing. We kept our head high. Yeah.
Was there at least a fun watch party?
So it was very fun to watch. I think arguably, and that's a discussion they're having online, that it's really the best game in the World Cup until now. And there are even people saying that it's one of the best World Cup history games. So it was a great game. There was a lot of talent. It had everything: red cards, penalties, great goals, great football. So it was very fun to watch. Sad in the end because we couldn't get the result, but it was a very fun game to watch in general.
Sorry to ask about it, but I knew I was going to talk to you, so I kept checking the score, and I was rooting for Mexico.
Yeah.
Sorry if any of my British coworkers. I just want to say one thing. I hope my mom's not watching, Dr. Marcos, because she always told me there were certain things I was going to regret not knowing how to do. One of those was speaking Spanish. She's right. So Dr. Marcos and I are going to do an interview. He's going to answer in Spanish. I'm going to ask in English. He'll give me a quick answer in English and then in Spanish. This is for our Spanish speaking fans and friends. One of the things we talked about at FanFest was heat exhaustion.
Okay.
Can you tell me just what does one feel? What are the symptoms of heat exhaustion? And when do I know it's time to get help?
Okay. So you want me in English first?
Yes, please.
Okay. So the first thing that you have to understand is that if heat is a danger, so you have to prepare for the heat. So you have to start drinking water and everything before it. When you're in the heat, walking in the fan fest for hours, you will start feeling weak, fatigue, dizzy, and that's a good moment for you to start going to a cool place, start cooling down and improving. When it's time to get help, when people start getting unconscious or stop sweating, that's a moment with the one that's looking at the guy getting confused to call the 911 because that's already a heat stroke and that's something that needs to be treated emergently. En español, normalmente cuando uno tiene heat exhaustion es cuando empieza a sentirse cansado, fatigado, tal vez un poquito mareado. Y es cuando uno tiene que ir a descansar, sentarse en un lugar fresco, ponerse tal vez hielo. Cuando uno ya tiene el famoso heat stroke, es cuando el calor llega a un punto donde ya la persona empieza a estar confundida, empieza a perder el conocimiento, incluso se desmayan. Y ahí es cuando uno tiene que llamar al 911 o incluso ir a un lugar de emergencia para que sea tratado, porque esto es una emergencia.
Thank you, Dr. Marcos. So, in your story that we just saw before the break, we talked about aging well. I know as an internal medicine physician, you say your goal is to get people to live as well as they do when they're young as they're older. Is that correct?
Yeah, so our goal as physicians or primary care physicians is to have our healthy patients and keep them healthy as long as possible. That applies to anyone with any kind of disease. We want to keep that disease controlled so it doesn't create problem in the future. And people that are healthier or with no diseases to try to keep them as active or as functional as possible. Health is a very hard thing to explain. Everyone has their own definition, but I would try to think about it as a situation in which someone is happy with how they are doing and they are functional enough to do whatever they want to do, right?
Would you tell me that in Spanish?
Of course. Algo muy importante cuando uno crece es mantener la función o mantenerse activo. Como doctor o como doctor primario, una de nuestras metas es mantener a la persona sana el resto de su vida. Y eso no significa que no tengan ninguna enfermedad, a veces con alguna enfermedad como diabetes, hipertensión. La idea es tratarla para que no traiga una complicación que te quite esa salud en un futuro. Lo que buscamos con estos pacientes es que incluso cuando no tienen ninguna enfermedad es mantenerte activo lo más posible. La salud es, pues depende de qué persona le preguntes, pero la idea es que la persona que tenga este problema o esta persona se sienta cómoda con su función y que pueda hacer las cosas que quiere hacer pues el resto de su vida y no esté limitado por esta falta de salud.
Thanks. So we talked about the importance of physical activity in your story that we showed, right, with your patients. You want them to get up and move. How hard is that? Or what advice then do you have for someone who doesn't have a lot of movement?
Yeah, so sometimes when we start thinking about doing exercise or becoming active, we start thinking that what we have to do is going to the gym and becoming a physiculturist or running a marathon, or we always think big. But sometimes small change actually make a lot of impact in your lives. And starting small, just walking around your house, walking around your neighborhood, maybe starting with those little machines that help you move while you're sitting down if you're unable to walk that much. Having someone help you maybe stand up and sit down when even that moment is very hard. Those little changes actually have a very big impact in your body. The goal when we doctors try to make our patients do exercise is not for them to be extremely like physical. It's just for them to get the heart pumping 20, 30 minutes a day. And that has been proven to be enough to actually have a very extreme impact in your health. So that will be the first steps, just move. That will be the first recommendation, whatever you can, and then go from there.
Can you answer in Spanish? Thank you.
Y la pregunta de, normalmente cuando uno habla con un doctor y el doctor le dice, hace ejercicio, uno empieza a pensar que tiene que ir al gimnasio y estar horas ahí, o correr al maratón, o hacer muchísimo deporte. La realidad es que lo que uno quiere es que empiecen con pequeños cambios en su vida, moverse poquito o moverse lo que uno pueda hacer, ya sea pararse del sillón una que otra vez con ayuda de alguien, o caminar en su casa, o caminar en su barrio. Esos pequeños cambios pueden crear más cambio. Y la realidad es que con que simplemente el corazón lata un poquito, 30 minutos, y uno empieza a caminar haciendo ese ejercicio que haga que su corazón lata, se ha comprobado científicamente que realmente tiene un impacto muy positivo en la salud de las personas y reduce los riesgos de problemas cardiovasculares o incluso mejora la calidad de vida de las personas. Entonces, no piensen que tenemos que correr un maratón, es simplemente vamos a empezar poquito a poquito y cambios pequeños hacen cambios muy grandes con el tiempo.
So a couple of years ago, the then Surgeon General issued a report that said the loneliness epidemic was impacting our health.
Yeah.
And I love that you brought up that sports is great for aging well because it gets you moving and that's social connection. How important do you tell patients having a social network is for them to age well?
Yeah, well, social aspect of life actually has a very big impact in health. It's been proven that someone who has a better social interaction with people can actually be very benefit from it to their health. So sports in general, either soccer, like we're in the World Cup right now, basketball, baseball, whatever you find, it has a very strong impact in social stuff. Because one, you have a topic of conversation with anyone. You can get together to watch the games, or in the best possible aspect, you start playing that kind of sport with someone. Maybe not everyone can play soccer, not everyone can play basketball, but there are sports that are more mild or less intense physically. I don't know. Chess. I'm kidding. Pickleball is one good example. Pickleball has become very famous in the US because it's an easy sport that anyone can play. I'm not an expert in a sport like, I don't know, golf. It's something that a lot of people do, and it's not that physical strenuous. I don't know if golf people. I may be lying. You guys can tell me otherwise. But in general, sports let you connect with people and also have that benefit that you stay active. Okay?
If you can answer in Spanish, the importance of social connection to age.
Of course. Lo importante de los deportes es que no solo impactan en la cuestión física, no solo es hacer ejercicio, es que muchos de los deportes como el fútbol, el básquetbol, ahorita que estamos en la Copa del Mundo, ayudan a que tengas interacciones sociales, ya sea porque tienes un tema de conversación con las personas o porque pues lo mejor sería juntarte a ver los partidos o incluso lo más positivo, juntarte a jugar ese deporte. No todos pueden jugar fútbol, hay gente que tiene ciertas limitaciones, pero lo padre del deporte es que te permite, hay deportes que son más sencillos de jugar, ya sea pickleball, que es un deporte que es muy popular ahorita en los Estados Unidos, que mucha gente está haciendo. Tal vez el golf, la gente que juega golf tal vez me corrijan, pero que tal vez no tenga tanto impacto físico. Y juntarte con gente, hacer este tipo de actividades también te motiva a seguirlas haciendo. Y con el tiempo uno se vuelve más fuerte, obviamente, porque es un deporte, pero más que nada tiene ese contacto social con las personas que se ha comprobado que tiene un impacto muy bueno en la salud.
Thanks, Dr. Marcos. I know you have patients to get back to. I appreciate your time, though, as your patients do. And I'm sorry you joined us on such a dark morning for you.
It is. It's a dark day, but it is what it is. We will have to wait for the next World Cup. And US is playing today, so I hope that they do well today.
Yes.
And good luck to them.
Thanks, Dr. Marcos. Reporting from the emergency department with Dr. Marcos, Leslie Cardo. Back to you, Keith.
All right, Leslie, thank you. And please give Dr. Marcos our condolences this morning. Thank you both.
It is.
All right, up next, if you have kids at home, chances are you are used to running them to soccer matches. It's a fun and often rough sport. Soccer can also lead to concussions, what parents need to look for when it comes to concussion symptoms. And as we go to break, a message from Jackson County Public Health and the Red Card campaign reminding us to make healthy choices during World Cup fever.
Showing up sick, that's a red card.
Visit jcph.org/soccer.
For early appointments and late night care, for the moment you find out it's a girl to the first time you hold her hand. With advanced maternity care, on-site level 3 NICU, and access to level 4 NICU, University Health is the one for you. At University Health, we're teaching Kansas City what it means to care. Through the power of academic medicine, teaching can bring more minds to our patients. It solves some of the most complex medical cases in the city. And it provides hope to those who need it most. How can we care for all of Kansas City? Teaching can. University Health.
During a typical professional soccer season, 5 to 10% of players can sustain a concussion. This morning, University Health trauma surgeon Dr. Michael Moncure explains why the biggest concern for any soccer player goes beyond that first concussion.
University Health trauma surgeon Dr. Michael Moncure is passionate about injury prevention, coffee, and soccer.
My oldest daughter, she played from age 4 through the end of college, driven to tournaments and God knows towns I can't even pronounce. But I gotta say, the game is so beautiful, and I saw her develop, and she was a goalie, and I could recognize patterns and defenses and things like that. Hey, what's going on, Carl?
How's it going?
Good.
We caught up with Dr. Moncure at Pitchside Coffee, founded by KC current teammates, to talk about a leading cause of soccer injuries.
Soccer is the second leading sport that's that results in concussions. Women's soccer is probably a little bit higher. It's an aggressive form of sport.
Concussion symptoms can include loss of consciousness, blurred vision, hearing difficulties, withdrawn behavior. Dr. Moncure says the real danger for young developing brains comes if they incur a second concussion while their brains are still healing from the first.
We've got to take this very seriously because this could be life and death.
Dr. Moncure knows young athletes will say anything to get back on the field. So parents, keep an eye out for symptoms if your child is injured.
It's really important that we tell our kids and we're very truthful with them that athletics is important. However, we're not willing to risk your cognitive health and your life. And so if you do get a concussion, you got to tell us. And if we perceive that there's anything going wrong, then we're going to pull you out.
All right, let's bring our doctors back into the conversation. Dr. Scott Llewellyn and Dr. Meg Gibson. Again, thank you for joining us. The heat continues to be a big story here in Kansas City. Obviously, we're in July. It is a factor. There has been some conversations regarding players, some of the teams wearing cooling vests, boots, and jackets. Dr. Gibson, tell me a little bit more about these.
Yes. So there definitely has been an increase, it looks like, heading into the next week, at least in Kansas City, for temperatures. And some of the teams have been trying to use some more innovative cooling methods. I think, on the sidelines, we've seen the athletes who have had kind of the iced towels around their necks trying to cool off at the hydration breaks. There's also some teams that have been using cooling vests, these cooling jackets that kind of are called space jackets that apparently were used by F1 racers and some of the race car drivers to keep their core body temperature cooler before they get into their cars for their races. And for the soccer players, they've even tried using these boots that go over their soccer cleats to try to help keep their feet cool as they're preparing for these matches in these hot temperatures.
Because you were telling me earlier that the players keep their cleats very, very tight.
Yes. So the soccer players, their boots, as they like to call them, they want those as tight as possible so that they can really get the feel of the ball. And one of the things that can happen in hot weather is, we've all experienced swelling. We call that heat edema or heat swelling. You can see that in your fingers. You can see that in your feet. So for a soccer player who is on very, very tight compressive shoes, if they would get a lot of swelling in their feet, it would make sense that it would be very uncomfortable. So I think they've been trying to be more innovative and look for things such as these boots that they can put over their boots to try to maybe keep their feet temperatures a little bit cooler before starting the games.
Dr. Llewellyn, then, obviously soccer players train themselves how to perform in hot temperatures like this. What can the rest of us take away? What might we be able to do to be better prepared for hotter temperatures?
Well, the most important thing to focus on is acclimatization, it's called, which is where you're trying to gradually get your body used to the elements that you're going to be playing in. So for a team that has a similar climate, they're doing that already, by training in their native conditions. But if it's a team like Norway, where it's maybe cooler, they need to try to replicate those conditions and get their body used to the higher temperatures, the higher humidity. So a lot of teams will address that by traveling to the venue earlier. And the magic number is usually in the 10 to 14 day range. The most important, the first 7 days are the most important. They say that you get 80% of your acclimatization done in that first 7 days, but you do get additional benefit for that for the next several days.
So for parents who have kids who are playing in soccer, what is your number one piece of advice to help them do well in hot temperatures? Dr. Llewellyn, we'll start with you.
Well, I think as part of that acclimatization, you want to gradually introduce that. You don't want to go out there and play 90 minutes the first time you're out. You want to ease your body into it and watch for signs that you're overstressing. So you want to stress the body to point to where it's building you up and getting you used to the elements. But on the flip side, you don't want to overdo it and go too far. So you have to kind of walk the line a little bit there. And so gradually introducing it, maybe 3 days a week or so to start with, to try to get your body used to it.
Dr. Gibson, care to add anything?
So I think in addition to the acclimatization, we talk about hydration being important, and especially with our younger kids and our teenagers, it can be hard to encourage them that just drinking during the game isn't enough, and you really need to start that hydration process before. It's also important in recovery. So as Dr. Llewellyn mentioned, maybe you have some days off in between as you're kind of building up that acclimatization. You still want to keep hydrating well and eating well during that time period.
All right. Well, thank you both for joining us here this morning. Where will you be watching the match tonight?
Well, so I'm supporting USA today.
USA.
On my poll. Yeah, shocking.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've been debating. I know that places like Sporting Park have been having some really big watch parties. So it's just, do I want to watch in the comfort, cool of my home air conditioning, or go down there and face the heat, but have a lot of cheering fans around me?
I'm not acclimatized so I'll probably be watching it at home in my air conditioning. But
There
I'm
you go.
very excited for the match. I think it's gonna be a good one.
Yeah, it will be very exciting. All right. Well, again, thank you both for being with us here this morning. The quarterfinal match will happen in Kansas City Stadium this Saturday. It will be exciting to break that down. And we will be back next Monday morning at 8 a.m. to talk about it on Healthy Goals. Dr. Llewellyn, I think you're scheduled to be back with us for that. Finally, please hit that like button, or as the kids say, smash the like button, and subscribe to University Health's YouTube channel. And from all of us this morning at University Health, we hope your day is full of big saves, great goals, and plenty of cheers. Have a great week, everyone.